He held his bare hand over an open flame for 11 seconds. Not a trick, not a nerve condition, he'd trained for it. The way you'd train for a marathon, except the finish line was his own nervous system. What he did to get there sounds less like discipline and more like something closer to war. His name was Wim Hof, Dutch, unremarkable by most standards until you watched him climb Everest in shorts, until you watched him sit in a tub of ice for nearly 2 hours while doctors stood by with clipboards waiting for his body to fail. It never did. His heart rate stayed steady, his core temperature barely moved, and somewhere in a lab in the Netherlands, a group of scientists started asking a question that should terrify you a little. What if pain isn't a wall? What if it's just a door somebody forgot to check? Picture the cold water first. Not metaphorically, actually picture it. The moment it touches your skin, your body doesn't wait for permission. It reacts. Your breath rips inward. Your muscles seize. Every cell you own is screaming the same message: get out, get out, get out. This is not weakness. This is 30 million years of evolution doing exactly what it was built to do. Pain at its core is not punishment. It's a warning system wired straight from your skin to your brain stem, designed to keep you alive one flinch at a time. And for almost all of human history, that warning system ran the show. You touched fire, you pulled back. No negotiation, no override. The signal arrived and your body obeyed it before your conscious mind even caught up. This is called nociception, the raw transmission of a damage signal. And for a long time, scientists believed that once that signal fired, pain was simply inevitable, automatic, non-negotiable. Then in 1965, two researchers named Ronald Melzack and Patrick Wall published a theory that broke that assumption wide open. They called it gate control theory. The idea was strange, almost rebellious for its time. Pain signals traveling up the spinal cord don't get a free pass straight to the brain. They pass through a kind of gate, and that gate can be opened wider or closed almost shut, depending on other signals arriving at the same time. Rub a stubbed toe and the ache eases. That's the gate closing slightly under competing input. The body was never a simple wire. It was a switchboard. And if it's a switchboard, that means somebody somewhere might learn how to work the switches. This is where the story gets strange. Wim Hof wasn't the first. Centuries before ice baths went viral, Tibetan monks practiced something called Tummo, inner fire. Stripped to thin robes in freezing monastery halls, they'd sit through nights that killed unprepared travelers within hours and produce enough internal heat to dry wet sheets draped over their shoulders. Western scientists who studied them in the 1980s assumed measurement error at first. The numbers didn't fit anything in the textbooks. A body generating that much controlled heat on command through nothing but breath and focus wasn't supposed to be possible. And here's the part that makes the switchboard idea even stranger. It doesn't always stay inside one body. Researchers studying something called emotional contagion have found that pain and stress signals can pass between people almost involuntarily, through tone of voice, through facial expression, through nothing more than standing near someone in distress. Watch a stranger stub their toe and your own face winces before you've decided to react. Mirror neurons fire as if the injury were happening to you. If a nervous system can pick up a warning signal from someone else's body without permission, that's proof the gate was never a fixed, private wall in the first place. It was always social, always adjustable, which raises the obvious question. If pain can spread involuntarily between two people who've never trained a day in their lives, what's actually stopping someone from learning to redirect it deliberately, in just one body, on command? So, which is it? Round 1. Maybe it's simple biology, a switch anyone could flip if they trained hard enough. In 2014, researchers at Radboud University injected Wim Hof and a group of people he'd personally trained with an endotoxin, a substance that reliably makes the human body sick, feverish, inflamed. The untrained control group got sick exactly as predicted. Hof's trained group barely reacted. Their bodies produced more anti-inflammatory chemicals on command than researchers believed was voluntarily possible. This wasn't mysticism. It was measurable, trainable, or something in the nervous system had been recalibrated, like a machine that had been given new instructions and simply started following them. Round 2. Maybe it's not the body changing at all. Maybe it's just attention. Psychologists have long known that pain intensity isn't fixed. It's modulated by where you point your focus. Soldiers wounded in combat sometimes report almost no pain until hours later because the threat in front of them commanded every ounce of attention their brain had. Take that same injury in a waiting room with nothing else to focus on, and the pain arrives in full, undiluted force. If Hof's practice simply hijacks attention hard enough, through breath, through focus, through sheer repetition, maybe there's no biological miracle at all. Maybe there's just a mind that has practiced looking somewhere else so many times it no longer knows how to flinch. Except the Radboud data doesn't fully support that explanation either. The immune markers were real, measurable in blood work, not just self-reported comfort. Something physiological was happening, not just psychological distraction. Which brings us to round 3. Maybe both explanations are actually describing the same mechanism from two different angles. The breathing techniques Hof teaches, deliberately fast, deliberately deep, shift blood oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in ways that measurably change nervous system arousal. Practiced enough times, that shift stops being effortful and starts being automatic, the way a skilled driver no longer thinks about which pedal is the brake. The mind and the body were never actually separate systems fighting for control. They were the same switchboard the whole time, and Hof had simply spent 10,000 hours learning where the wires led. None of this makes him superhuman. Researchers are careful to point out what the studies don't show. Hof still feels cold. He still feels pain in the ordinary sense, sharp and immediate when he cuts himself the way anyone does. What changed wasn't his ability to sense danger. What changed was his relationship to the signal once it arrived. The nervous system kept sending its warning. He simply stopped treating every warning as an emergency. And that reframe is bigger than ice baths. Chronic pain researchers have found something similar in patients who suffer for years after an injury has already healed. The tissue damage is gone. The signal keeps firing anyway because the nervous system got stuck in a loop, treating an old warning like a current one. Some of the most effective modern treatments don't attack the pain directly at all. They retrain the switchboard. They teach the nervous system, slowly, patiently, that the emergency is over, which means the real story here was never really about a Dutchman in an ice bath. It's about a system inside every one of us that we've been taught to treat as fixed, unchangeable, final. Discomfort shows up, and we assume it's a wall. We assume the flinch is the whole truth. But the switchboard is always there, whether you've ever touched it or not. Most people go their entire lives never learning it exists, reacting to every signal exactly the way their body demands. No negotiation, no pause between the warning and the retreat. You don't need an ice bath to test this. The next uncomfortable thing that shows up in your day, the cold shower you almost skip, the hard conversation you almost avoid, the workout you almost cut short, arrives the exact same way that cold water hit Wim Hof's skin the first time. Automatic, overwhelming, certain that it cannot be tolerated. And every single time, that certainty is a lie the switchboard is telling you, not a fact about what your body can actually survive. He held his hand over that flame for 11 seconds, not because his nervous system stopped sending the warning. It never stopped. He simply spent years learning that the warning and the emergency were two different things, and that only one of them was actually true.